Gratitude greetings. Life is beautiful. Life is awesome. I love maths and I love children. Here is Jaspreet Sethi, ma'am. She's founder Hattennoki. She's a game creator. She can do maths with a smile. She can help others do maths with a smile. She's a very beautiful human being. She's a beautiful balance of head and heart. She's an education consultant. She's a teacher trainer and she loves to make maths easy for all of us. Welcome, Jaspreet ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that honor. Thank you for having me, Sunny sir.
So, when we are young in school, when people ask us, we never say, "Mujhe founder banna hai." Founder of Hattennoki. So, how did this happen, and why do you do what do you do?
Short answer, long answer. 3 points.
From your heart. From your heart.
Absolutely. You're so right about this. Nobody, envisions a path of being a founder or creator of anything. I think when we are young, we want to be a teacher or we want to be a doctor, all the things that we see in our immediate surroundings. I, for a very long time, wanted to be a poet. I wanted to write poetry. Um, but I also realized that I was spending a lot of time writing, and then I would not concentrate on what I needed to do because I was expressing or reflecting on many things in writing. Then at some point, I wanted to be a judge, or very short lived. And I think at some point, I realized that I wouldn't be able to make a decision on uh, who is the culprit and who is not, because the more I learned about life, I learned that everybody comes with a story and everybody has a milieu or a background or an environment that influences that person. So out of the window. And at some point, I wanted to become a psychologist. Also, something that was very short-lived. My mom, who was also a math teacher, she ensured that I meet a psychologist and I talk about she wanted to speak to the psychologist to talk me out of this because she thought I'll take over everybody's problems. Um, so I at one point I think the aim was to make my mom proud. And how I would do it, I didn't know. I knew that I was a hardworking student. I was not a very bright student, but very hardworking. And I knew that I had to achieve something. At some point, just the course of life, I studied finance, international business. I went to the US. When I was in New York, I was teaching while I was um, also, I was trying to pay for college and I was teaching in a vocational school and I was teaching computers. So I was teaching Excel and I was teaching a lot of financial formulas. And that's when I had a lot of people come up to me to talk about the first icebreaker that they would have with me would be, I'm not so good at math. Um, so I think at some point I reached a point where I wanted to pursue math at a level where I could understand what is happening at the school level or educational, the primary, foundational, middle, high school level in mathematics that gets people to be so flamboyantly having this conversation to say, if you're not good at bicycling, you don't go and announce to everybody, I'm not good at cycling or I'm not good at swimming. But somehow saying, I'm not good at math, as soon as some numbers come out or some calculation is required, is an announcement that I hear very often.
Yes.
So I wanted to study that at a level where I could formally understand math and math education. And that's when I pursued mathematics education on a formal level. I went and did my master's in that. Then I started teaching in schools. And the more I taught in schools, I understood that it's not just math. There's so much more to uh, education, parenting, stakeholders, decision makers, policy makers. There's so much to education. And And that's when I grew. I became the department chair for math, and I understood the importance of a team and what it means to nurture minds together. Because I think the first 4 5 years of your career, it's very personal. You're trying to drive anything home for yourself. You want that job, you want that promotion, whatever you want is very very personal. So I just wanted a very good classroom. I wanted like the best students ever. And I realized that there's nothing known as, best students. I need to be a good teacher to extract the bestness out of my students. And then over time, I think post those 5 years, I started realizing that, now I need to look towards growing my community. And I understood what cross pollination means in education. Because if I have one student, I will just have that student for maybe a year. But that student or that learner is coming from some other teacher before me and is going to go to some other teacher after me. So I have to do a very good job in ensuring that I'm sending a good crop forward. So I think at some point when I started understanding the value of community, and I quit classroom teaching, but that was not to become a founder. It was to just take care of my child in the pandemic. And then I knew that I had to always surround myself with children, with education, with mathematics. And that's when I went into this initiative that I took, transforming math education globally in a very understandable way. So I ensured that I opened Math with a Smile. And few years into Math with a Smile, I realized that math is not everything. And math is coming as a result of so many other interventions, as I said, language, social emotional learning, everything is important. And that's when Math with a Smile transformed to Hattennoki, which is what I have today. So
So
long answer.
so beautiful. Now, you are a person who touches and everything turns into good. Can you recollect some of the moments where you felt, wow, Jaspreet Sethi means excellence? Can you recollect some school memories? I'm sure you would. Even in Hatanoki, if you can think of some product, some appreciation in school, teacher training or classroom, where they felt, पढ़ाया बहुत लोगों ने है लेकिन मैम जैसा, anything like could be a lesson plan, could be on the board, where you felt, oh wow, that touch of perfection, godliness.
I am so humble that you are saying and you're attributing all of these qualities to me. I hardly see myself as somebody who is, even in a label that I would give to myself, I do not call myself an expert. It's almost like, I remember growing up, it was not easy to get 100% in
नहीं,
today's.
नहीं, नहीं, एक मिनट See, don't go towards expert. Go towards where you got compliments in terms of, wow, how do you do this, Jaspreet? So beautiful. If you can recollect some moments and give us examples. I'm sure you are having great memory and you have so many examples to share with us. Could be recent ones also.
Sure. Thank you for bringing me back. I am so tempted to go there because the fact is there are so many examples, but those are very humbling experiences, which make me realize that I did not get that accolade or I did not get that appreciation on day one. I failed and I failed miserably and I cried and I picked myself up and I ensured that I do something differently. And I think in doing something differently, a lot of appreciation came. I think in one of the ways in which I did something differently first was to acknowledge as a math person or a teacher that this is not easy. A lot of times, a lot of students, as you start a class or in the middle of the classes, this just slips in sometimes that this is so simple. Um, Nothing is simple. Boiling water is not simple. So I feel like first we need to come down to the level of the learner. And we need to understand what motivates the learner and where the learner is coming from, and what background knowledge the learner has or does not have, and where do I need to pick up that child or that learner from. So I think one of those things that I have been able to crack is one highlight where, I one one line that I usually get as appreciation, usually from a student or from the parent, um, is that, or even now teachers as I train them, is that, wow, you made it so clear. You made this so clear. And this was we've had trainers or teachers use so many jargons before, but nobody has connected it to our life or to our prior knowledge, or has connected it to where we are going to apply this, or when do I need this, in a way that it's understandable to me. So I think that clarity is something that I am very fortunate that I gained over time.
Any compliment from mummy you have received in the process of making her proud? You have surpassed me.
Uh, so I lost my mom in 2014. But I'm so fortunate that in 2012, I was in the process when she was diagnosed. I was in the process of pursuing my master's, and I was also had also started teaching. And I think by then I had become a department chair. So my mom saw those victories. She was very proud of me. She always looked at everything I did in awe, and she always, in any statement that she has made, or the emails that I go back, because so I was in New York and she was in Arizona. So we used to exchange a lot of emails. And at that time, we didn't have like text messages and all of that so much. Or at least there's a charge per message. So we did a lot of Skype, and we used to do a lot of emails. And I go back to so many of her emails, and they are all words of love and appreciation for the person I was becoming. And there were times that I have seen her taking advice from me. So I feel fortunate that she's seen that part of my
Awesome.
success.
Awesome. Now I'll go to my next question. The next question is going to be very simple. You are a teacher with a difference, you're a trainer with a difference. I feel you bring a lot of activities to bring smile, and you have some close connection with music as well. Or telling in a way, even the most critical feedbacks, so that it makes the dupatta fly, it makes the student feel so loved, and you always get a yes. So can you think of those moments?
I have an ear for music, but I think stories, I think we all love to listen to. So a lot of times, so many concepts I try to connect with a story. I'll give you an example, and I'll
Ah,
also
please.
give you one where a child told me something which opened my eyes, which is how I realized how children think, or how people think. And we need to go really deep sometimes into not just verbalizing what is in a textbook, or what we have read, or what research we have done, but also understand that every person is a different case study. And what I have done with one, I cannot apply and sometimes duplicate with another. And I think motherhood and parenting taught me that even more. That sometimes I could have a classroom of people, and then I had an appreciation for understanding that everybody is so different. So, story of math. I think there's one which really connects with a lot of people when I use my Yonju cards, my one of the games that I've developed to teach math. Um, and so there are red triangles and there are green pentagons. So they're basically number cards. So assume I have a red triangle, and pick a number. Say the number is 5, and I have a 7 green pentagon. So I like to show this in terms of love and hate, or a really good quality and or not such a good quality. So if I have 5 not so good qualities and I have 7 good qualities, I'm able to somehow compensate, and I'm still at a +2. Um, so I do a lot of
So,
work in which I bring in theory and I connect it to real world, and then I will bring in a lot of history in mathematics on origins of something. And a, a lot of times, a lot of people don't realize that what we are reading or seeing in a textbook has sometimes nothing to do with how it originated. Math was very recreational, and logic and everything was something that was a byproduct of the way we started reasoning, but it was so connected to philosophy, poetry, to so many things, science. So I think that connection is something that I have been able to bring through my stories. And those have been some aha moments for kids because they were looking at it as just an equation or a theorem or a formula, but then I connected it to something, which is something they were seeing in physics or science or in life. Um, and that's where like there were light bulbs. Uh, so
so which age group do you handle when it comes to maths? You make us smile. So LKG, UKG, nursery, primary, middle school, can even the 12th graders smile in maths with you?
Absolutely. So, high schoolers is my first formal audience to teach when I
Really?
began teaching.
I thought stories and make students smile, love and hate. But
There's so
you
much
go in
story in
different
calculus and
line.
trigonometry. There are stories
Wow.
there as well.
So when you
Uh,
go to schools, what do you do? You deal with teachers of whole school, so all schools can connect with you. You
Absolutely.
personally, or do you have a team, or are you looking at expanding? So if somebody wants to join you, I know there are too many questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's an influx of which one should I answer first? I think going back to a few things that you've asked. One, that Hatenoki, with what I do now, it's not just maths. There's language and social emotional learning. Um, Mathematics for me has been something that I have been teaching, and when I was teaching, I went backwards. So it went from corporates to high schoolers to middle schoolers to primary to early childhood and everything in between. And now it's going back to corporates again with more of the emotional wellness and emotional intelligence programs. Math, numeracy, I have right now a 35-year-old student who is trying to do my math program called Math from Scratch, where I teach math ha- from the very beginning and how to do it better. And she is learning it to teach her child. Um, so that's so in terms of, and then I have a grandparent right now who's also learning math to be able to take it back to she's trying to start her own business. And so I am training her, and she's trying to get certification from Hatenoki to be able to use it in her um, work life post retirement now.
So
So so it
individuals, schools, corporates, सब आ जाएं आपके पास. बच्चे भी बच्चे भी आ सकते हैं डायरेक्टली.
Absolutely. The bandwidth for children is a little low. I was working with a lot of children, but more and more I realized that I need to work with the parents, I need to work with teachers, I need to work with principals and school leaders and government bodies. So now the training is more corporate and teacher training, so that I can reach more um, through that. But I definitely I have some kids, and my youngest child is a 14-month-old child. I work with the parents and I work on motor skills, cognition, and social emotional learning, literacy, numeracy, everything.
Wow, you're doing great job, and I'm super thankful to you. It was lovely talking to you. I
Thank you.
know this is one of the best interviews I have done. I thoroughly enjoyed, and you have so much to offer. I was kept cutting you off. You know, short answer, short answer. So now let's play one word answer. Life in one word.
Life in one word, learning,
Mathematics in one word.
beautiful,
Socio-emotional learning in one word.
acknowledgement,
Language in one word.
medium,
Hatanoki in one word.
love,
Corporates in one word.
This is hard. People. We're human.
Teacher training in one word.
Growth.
Children in one word.
Love.
Jaspreet ma'am in one word.
Patient.
Truly patient. You're a great speaker. You're a great leader. And the queen of visuals. Queen of explanation. I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors. I know they are noble, spiritual, beautiful, and global. You're doing God's work. Thank you for being here and enlightening me and the audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.